Hello there. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to an introduction to UX design with UX Academy. We're really glad that you can join us for the next 60 minutes or so. Um, Let us know in the chat if you can hear us. Let us know in the chat what country you're from, what city you're from, and why you have joined today's presentation. We're really looking forward to taking you through what UX design is and giving you a nice overview. Okay. So now, before we go into what UX design is, I wanted to give you all a nice background into who UX Academy is. Um, so let's go to the next slide. So let's look at what we're going to cover today. So we're going to talk about what UX design is and the different paths into UX UI design, skills needed to become a UX designer. We're going to talk about goals and the next steps on your journey. And we're also going to have one of our past students who's graduated from UX Academy. She's going to do a short presentation on her portfolio. And then we're going to have a nice Q&A towards the end. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the course towards the end. Thank you, Sherry, for your comment. You're from London. Hello, Jan, all the way from Belgium. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Daniel from Yorkshire. And Daniel says that he simply wants to understand more about UX design. That's fantastic. Anastasia, thanks for joining. Thank you for the heads up. And you're based in the UK. Fantastic. We got Barina from the Netherlands. Wow, I mean, we got a whole bunch of people all over the world here, and that's what we do here at UX Academy. Since we went remote in March in 2020, we've been able to get people all over the world to get involved in our courses and our events, and it's just wonderful to see. We got Bianca from South Africa. Hello, Bianca. What's going on? And then we have Pavel from Czech Republic. Oh, Czech Republic? Czech Republic. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So that's what we're going to cover today. Now, I want to talk a little bit about next slide. I want to talk a little bit about who UX Academy is before we get into what UX Academy, before we get into the presentation. So UX Academy is a team of technologists, enthusiasts, product designers, product developers, startup enthusiasts, entrepreneurs. Myself, I have a background in product management, in e-commerce. I used to run a startup called Go Cycle, which is an online platform connecting cyclists to trips and experiences. And we're just crazy about tech. We're crazy about design. And UX Academy was born as a result of Mobile UX London. So I don't know if you've heard of Mobile UX London. It's one of the best inline event companies out there which deliver the best practice in UX design, user experience, user research, conversational design, product design, and so many more disciplines in design. So they've been doing events for years and years, and because of the momentum that Mobile UX London was building, UX Academy was born because there was so much demand for training. There was a desire for people who attended these events to get trained, get upskilled in the area of UX because of the great work that Mobile UX London has been doing. As you can see in the picture, that's a picture of one of the events from Mobile UX London in the past. And as a result of that, UX Academy was born. Okay, next to the next slide. So I just want to talk a little bit about why you should consider UX Academy if you are considering starting your UX journey. So we have a number of reasons why. So UX Academy delivers live online part-time courses with weekly interactive workshops with real-life clients. So you're going to see an example of a real-life client that a student worked with live today on the presentation. So make sure you stick around. We have experienced teachers which have at least 7+ years of experience in the UX UI field. So if you come on board in the courses, don't worry, you're going to be in great hands. Our instructors have sufficient experience and support to take you to your next level. We have flexible payment options, so we understand that it's pretty hard times, and we want to make things as economically comfortable as possible. So what we want to do is we want to give you the option to pay in installments. Now, there is a limit to what then those installments are. If you're interested in signing up for the courses, we can discuss that. Don't worry about that. You're also going to get a signed course certificate. I mean, you believe it or not, these are one of the most popular inquiries we get. Am I going to get a certificate, to show an employer, to show LinkedIn, to show my friends, my family? The answer is yes. You're going to get a certificate signed from all of our instructors and even the founder himself of UX Academy, so that you have proof that you've studied with us, and also you can show that to your employer, or you can show that to the world that you've actually gone through this training program. We also offer mentorship, which I'm going to talk about later on. And then we also have flexible courses to suit your lifestyle and your needs. So if you have a full-time job or you're studying full-time, maybe our weekly courses may be suitable for you, especially when you want to fast track yourself to a certain career in UX. If you already maybe have some kind of experience in UX and you just want to mix and match or upskill in a certain area of UX, then maybe our day courses, which are starting in 2021, would suit you. And there's going to be more information about that on the website coming soon. All right, so UX Academy has had students from top companies. So what I mean is that our students have either graduated from us and gone on to work for top companies, or they have come from top companies and they've been sent to us to train. There's many of the companies that you can see in the screen that are recognizable brands from around the world: Microsoft, Amazon. I'm sure you guys have all been buying away from Amazon during this pandemic because you've been stuck at home. Just Eat is another brand that I'm sure you guys have been ordering away from, especially if you're in the UK. You've been ordering from Just Eat because you're stuck at home, the restaurants are closed, you want to get a takeaway. Yummy. Secret Escapes, I know it's probably a website you guys haven't really used because you haven't really been able to travel that much because of the pandemic, but you guys get the picture. Great companies that we work with, and you're in really good hands. Okay, so if you come on the course, these are the tools that you're expected to use. So we use industry standard tools. We have Slack for regular communication between the instructors and the students. Okay, we use Google Drive for sharing learning resources. Figma is one of the industry standards softwares out there for design, collaboration, and prototyping. I'm sure you guys all know Zoom, which, if interesting fact, if you didn't know already, which was the best app for 2020 in the App Store, the most downloaded app from 2020, I believe. And Miro for online whiteboarding. And then we have Envision, which is an alternative software that we can use, which can be used for digital product design and prototyping as well. All right, so who can get involved in becoming a UX designer? Who can get involved in UX Academy? The real answer to that is anyone, but we do attract different professions from different fields, such as product designers, visual designers, freelance designers, software developers, psychologists, customer experience, UX enthusiasts, and newcomers who have absolutely no idea what UX design is. And we've had students like that all the time. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, how credible are these guys? So here are some testimonials. There's a testimony here from Bond Wong. He was one of our students in the summer, and he says, "I'm very happy about taking a UX beginners course. I must mention Adrian, who's been a great support right from the beginning and throughout." I'll leave you guys to read the rest of that on the testimonials website. And then we have Thomas, who also says, "The program is well suited for beginners and to handle basic projects in a linear way. The teachers are good and clear and available to provide feedback on our work. It really feels we're in a team and they want us to progress. I'm very satisfied and I feel like I could start work as a beginner UX designer tomorrow." Fantastic. Thomas just came through our program, which ended last week, our latest beginner UX design program. We had 13 students on that course, and yeah, it's going to be great. Let's move on. So these are a couple of our teachers that you may expect to see in the course. We have Stratus, who is a UX design lead at Conde Nast. So if you've heard of the likes of Vogue magazine, GQ magazine, Wired magazine, Conde Nast, The Traveler, this is the brand behind all of those brands that you've heard or loved or interacted with in the past. He's worked with startups, agencies, and organizations. And these are the three main areas that you may expect to get involved in if you pursue a career in UX design. So hold that in mind. All right. We also have Yota on the right. She's an experienced UX researcher, an award-winning product designer, educator, and content creator. All right. So I don't want to bore you guys too much. You guys obviously here to get some massive value from one of our instructors. So I'm gonna pass the ball over to him shortly. Just want to remind everyone today that you can get a special coupon discounts on the course by visiting the website myuxacademy.com/enroll. And just use the code workshop 12. That will give you a nice discount off the beginners UX design course that we've discussed so far, and we'll discuss a little bit at the end of the course. Sorry, at the end of this online event. Just stick in the code workshop 12. That should get you a sweet discount. Just to mention, it will give you a partial discount at the start, but then at the end, once you're paying the next installment of the course, we will manually apply the rest of the discount. So don't worry if you don't see the full discount being taken off when you're securing your place. Make sure you stick to the end of this presentation, guys. We do have some bonus materials to give away to you. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to hand over to Goncalo. He's one of our instructors. He's stepping in today to support me with this free UX online event. And I'm going to add him to the stream in just a moment. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to my part of the presentation so far. Goncalo, why don't you just say hi whilst I get your slides ready?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Adrian. As Adrian mentioned, I'm a teacher sometimes in the course. I'm a mentor in the course. So what that means is every week between classes, people can reach out to me for help or for clarification with things, and I'm always available to support. So, yeah, is that my screen then?
That's your screen now, Goncalo. So, okay. Goncalo, you're more than welcome to take away. I just want to let everyone know that we do have the Q&A section coming up after Goncalo does his bit and after one of our students does a presentation. So feel free to keep on your questions in the chat. We're going to get through all of them towards the end, okay? Thank you very much. Goncalo, you take it away.
Yeah, so talk about UX. I have about 10 years of experience in UX. I've been working in all sorts of different companies and different industries. So what I'm going to talk about right now is, what UX is, demystifying that a little bit, how UX designers work, what we do on a day-to-day basis, and why. And then I'm going to talk about the journey with UX Academy, so how are things structured with UX Academy, and then what you can do after. So first of all, what is UX design, right? And why is it different from any other kind of design? So user experience is the outcome of a user interacting with an artifact. So what that means is that user experience is not designing screens. It's not designing a particular physical thing. It is about how people interact with it. So it goes beyond just a screen. It is the experiences that people have interacting with your product or service or artifact. So broadening the definition a little bit, UX design is designing based on user needs, contexts, and principles, right, to achieve a desired experience. What this means is that we always have the user in mind. We try and understand the user as best as possible. We do research, we interview users. And this is quite important because there are other people in the company whose job is to keep things on track, whose job is to make sure things work. We are the ones that make sure that things are actually useful to the user in the end. So this is more or less how it works. So there's an artifact, which could be a website, for example. Then there's the user, and there's the interaction that the user might have with that artifact. So if you interact with, for example, Vogue, as the example previously with Strats, you might, the user experience will include going on the vogue.co.uk website, going on Facebook, using their app. All of those things are part of the user experience, even the physical magazine. So What that means is that UX designers end up working with things like this, really, really technical. If you work on an app to control a smart car, for example, or you might work on something that has to do with virtual reality and designing for um, new media, right? So this looks very much like a screen, but sometimes AR does not look like a screen. And it's up to UX designers to make sure that it's still fit for purpose and it's the best way to have the user achieve whatever they want to achieve, to make sure they have the best experience possible. It also applies to some things that are maybe not as obvious. So for example, Peloton has designers working on the bike, designers working on the screen, designers working on the service behind the screen, and everything together. So how do UX designers work? How do we do this? So in a nutshell, what we do is we do research, we ideate, and we test. So we do the research in the beginning, which means we talk to people. This might be just user interviews, diary studies, unmoderated testing, user testing, anything that is about getting data back from the user, either quantitative or qualitative. So this doesn't mean that we don't look at Google Analytics ever, but we go beyond it. It's not just numbers. We're designing for people. So we need to understand those people. Off the back of the research, we produce artifacts like this. So this is a customer journey. We have all the steps that they go through, the high points, the low points, and this helps us identify where we can intervene, where we can make their experience better, or where the experience is great. And why is it great? Can we do that thing somewhere else? This helps focus the entire company on the user. So it's not just about pumping features out the door. It's not just about fixing bugs. It's about making it better for the user. The way that we do that is designers are by definition interdisciplinary. So we step on a lot of people's toes. We work with a lot of different departments in the company. We make sure that they come together. We pick all the ideas out of their brains, and sometimes the sum of the parts is greater, right? So we can find out things that other people might miss. And we also, we do wireframes, we design things. We're more concerned with how things feel and what the experience is like than the visual details. And once we have designed something, then we go back to the beginning. We go out there again, we ask people to use it, we test it with people, and we go over this again and again and again, each time making it better, because UX design is never completely finished. So, sorry, that is UX design generally. In terms of your journey with UX Academy, should you join, it lasts 8 weeks, and this is between Strats and Julia. So week 1 is just an intro to UX design. So it's exploring these concepts that I've been talking to you about in more detail. Week 2, it's about discovery research, about how you can gather your assumptions, how you can make hypotheses, how you can conduct research to validate those hypotheses or to find out the things that you don't know yet. Week 3 is you take that data and then you ideate on it. Ideation means going through a lot of ideas, basically. So ideation is coming up with a lot of different ideas that might address the problems that you discovered in week 2. That might include facilitating workshops with all the stakeholders in the business. So you might have somebody who knows nothing about the user, but they know everything about a really technical aspect of your company, especially if you're working in finance or law. In week 4, that's mapping and wireframing. So mapping is usually customer journey mapping. So that diagram that I showed you earlier, and wireframing, which is putting general ideas together in a low fidelity design. Week 5 will be about prototyping. So how do you make something clickable? How do you simulate the app? the point of prototyping is that you can validate an idea really, really quickly without spending 3 months of dev time on it. Once you have the prototype, then in week 6, you can put it in front of users and validate your hypotheses. So if you came out with an idea to solve a problem, now you can put it in front of users and see if it actually solves the problem, or if you still need to adjust it a little bit. Week 7, you take what you found out in week 6 in user testing, and you iterate some more to address some of the issues that you will have found. And then in week 8 is just presenting the project and talking about next steps and how you can start a life and a career in UX. We go through a double diamond design process. Some of you might know this. If you Google around, this is really easy to find. It's the textbook standard process for design. So this is about diverging and converging. So when you discover, you go as wide as possible. You try and find as many issues as possible. When you define, you take all those assumptions and hypotheses and you decide one thing to tackle. Then in development, that's where you ideate, where you go wide again and try and come up with as many solutions as you can. And then delivering is choosing one of those solutions and refining it and then delivering just one thing. A typical week in the course looks like this. So you have a class in which we tell you about the theory, the principles, we give you some examples. There is some fun work for you to do in between the classes, and you can meet offline, or because this is 2020, you can meet online to do some projects, some activities, some team play, some ideation, or some user research. And in the meantime, there will be mentorship. So myself and available with advice, with some support, with some coaching. There might be some things that you're not 100% sure about, or that you have some questions left over from class. If that's the case, we will help you with that. So mentorship, as I mentioned, is 30-minute group mentoring every week. And you can get some feedback, you can report some blockers, you can, if you don't know how to proceed, or if you don't know if you have the right solution, you can come to me and I will help you. These are the tools we use, as Adrian mentioned. So we use Slack to communicate, Google Drive to store things, Zoom and Zoom breakout rooms to talk to each other and to have the classes and mentorship sessions with, Figma to do the designs, wireframes, and prototypes with. Miro is really, really useful because UX designers love post-it notes, and we don't really get to do physical post-it notes now. So Miro is a really good substitute for that. It's really good to have brainstorming sessions and do the mapping exercises. And we also have InVision, which is another tool for building prototypes. Then we have a case study. So this is about a real world project example. So we enable you to work with real world companies and real world clients. So this is one of the things that very few people, if any, are doing outside of UX Academy. So for example, in this this company was about booking luxury experiences. And the brief was to make booking those experiences easier for customers. Taking that brief, we went through the process of the 8 weeks, and we used this as an example, and we got the students in touch with the client to ask questions, to refine the brief. And it was very informative for everyone. And it's different when you have an actual client, because things don't go well or things are not very clear, and then you have to go back to the client. So you will get that experience. So what can you do after having this course? So within design, there's a lot of different roles that you can have. The most abstract one on the left is service designer. The most practical hands-on one is front-end developer. In between, there's a lot of different areas that you can have. Usually UX designers do more than one of these. You can specialize in just one, but usually people do, for example, 60% interaction design, 20% user research, 10% service design, 10% visual design. something like that. So there's a lot to choose from. So yeah, UX designers, to sum up, they take user needs, context, team input, business goals. We talk to subject matter experts. We talk to developers. We talk to anyone else that might be relevant, salespeople. We talk to writers when working for Vogue, for example, and photographers, anyone that's relevant. Then we apply the UX design processes and our own experience, and we come up with a proposed solution. So we always keep in mind if this is easy to use and is this what the user needs, and if it's something very technical, can we bypass it? Can we hide this complexity? We just want to make this as easy as possible for the user. So you need to be good storytellers. You need to really understand the user. You need to empathize with the user, even if it is something that you have never done and would never do. For example, if I were to design for TikTok, even though I've never used TikTok, I'd have to empathize with TikTok users. And wireframing, prototyping, interaction design, a whole lot of skills that we will help you and teach you in the course. And I believe that is the end, which is this discount code that you can have. And I will hand it back to Adrian.
Hey, that was a good presentation, Goncalo. Thanks for giving us a nice little high-level overview of UX design. So Goncalo is going to come back a little bit later on when we do the Q&A session. Thank you very much, Goncalo.
Yeah, see you in a minute.
See you. So now I'm going to add Sam to the stream. Just give me a moment. Sam's one of our previous UX Academy students. Hi, Sam. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. You?
I'm doing great. Thank you. So I believe you're going to give everyone a little peek into your project at UX Academy and just share your experience and introduce yourself, really. So you can share your screen whenever you're ready.
Yeah, that's fine. So if I just... Okay.
Okay. Whilst Sam is getting her slides ready, Sherry, yes. So the code that Goncalo gave, that was the wrong code. So please stick with the code workshop 12, which is the one that we're going to use. That's the one that's valid. So if you're interested in signing up for the course, that's the code that you need to use, workshop 12. All right. Okay. And then I'm going to see what else we have here.
Aha.
You got it, yeah? Perfect.
Yeah,
So I'm going to add it to the stream. All right. Let's take it away.
Thank you. So hi, everybody. I just... sorry, 1 second. So my name's Sam, and I was part of the July cohort this year for beginner UX course. So a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm a marketing executive at Air France KLM, and I'm looking to move into, I suppose, UX because I recently completed a data analytics course. And for me, I kind of want to use data to, I suppose, better services for customers and users. So I chose the course because I wanted more of working with a real life case study. And for me, it's also getting to understand a bit more about UX theory and in practice, and also looking at how to use UX tools better as well. So like Figma, looking at prototyping and that side of things. So I was working in a team of 3, and our project was called Blue Pass. So I'll give a brief introduction in terms of what we're talking about within my project slides. So for this, I'm just going to go through insights from discovery research in terms of analysing the actual app itself, walk through the ideation process in terms of what we learned through the research, and also again integrating theory from the course. And then also samples from the design artifacts, so learning about what we learned from Figma, and also just designing wireframes as well for the actual project. So about BluePass itself. So BluePass is a mobile app that connects NHS staff with companies providing discounts specifically for them. The target market is primarily aimed at the NHS, but it's also more focused on doctors, nurses, and ambulance drivers. So when we received the client brief, the focus was on improving the experience, user experience and flow. So this is something that the app doesn't currently offer to users, and it also lacked that activation of discounts and sharing them. The key metrics that we advised to improve on were engagement within the app as well, and also the sharing of discounts. The reason why the sharing of discounts is important is because it's more about, I suppose, growth, and the client wanted to grow the app within the next couple of years to, I suppose, increase the position on app stores. So when we got the brief, we kind of wanted to understand what the market was like currently in terms of discount apps, not just for specifically for emergency services, but then also looking at other competitors within different markets. So our key, I suppose, competitor was Blue Light, and for us, Blue Light is an app that is not just focused on NHS, but it's also on emergency services. So looking at, I suppose, the fire service, looking at coast guards, and for us, it's more understanding the aesthetics in terms of, okay, and how can emergency service people actually log onto the app? How can they be registered to make sure that they are generally work for the emergency services? But also looking at, I suppose, design of how discounts are featured on the app as well. Then we looked at other similar based websites as well. So, for example, the NHS staff benefits. So this gave us an understanding of looking at how discounts are presented, but not necessarily a direct competitor due to the fact that it's a website rather than an app. So the features and the actual usability would be completely different to what BluePass is looking for. And then finally, we looked at apps that offer, I suppose, a similar sort of experience like Uniday. So that was more of a indirect competitor, but we wanted to understand how we could present discounts better and also improve the onboarding process, because, you know, Uniday is a growing, I suppose, app for students themselves. So we kind of took inspiration in terms of how people logged on, understanding how discounts are presented, just to get an inspiration and a core understanding of how these sort of apps work. So as we did that, we sort of took, I suppose, we had a module in terms of understanding user research, and for us, it was taking on two people to research who are currently working for the NHS. Again, it could be any staff members, so working either in the back office or actually frontline staff. So we basically did user research. So we did a 5-minute warm-up questions to understand their buying behaviours, understanding if they currently use any discount apps, and also looking at the frequency and what they, I suppose, how they use it, followed by doing a 10-minute exercise with the current BluePass app. So understanding how they would use it, if there's anything that they felt was good, anything they found frustrating, just so we get key points of understanding how we can improve the app better for the users. So I'm just going to pull out a few key quotes that we found from the user research. So one of the key things we found the homepage confusing, as I was expecting to see more than just a blank screen. So it highlighted to us that possibly it wasn't so user-friendly for them to use. I would like asking my friends and family to find codes through WhatsApp. So again, there's kind of that engagement and sharing it aspect that the app wanted, and also highlighted the user wanted. And I find the process of finding discounts too long. So that was one of the key things for us, is actually, if it's too long, then we're going to have to simplify the process for the user, just so they can be engaged more and actually want to use the app more frequently. So we took these insights and did some workshop facilitation just to get better understanding of how can we improve the actual app and what are the key things we need to improve on. So before that, we kind of developed a story in terms of who we're aiming these changes at. So our persona is a guy called Cameron. So he's a ambulance driver, and his current scenario is he's been recommended the app by one of his colleagues. And he's looking to use the app for the first time. So he's looking for a really good onboarding experience that he will continue to use for the long term. So his expectations from the app is it needs to be, he wants to save money, but he wants the process to be easy and simple due to time restrictions. Because he'll be using the app on an ad hoc basis, he also wants to feel engaged in terms of using it, and also wants to feel like it's tailored to him. He wants to be able to share these discounts, and that was a key feature for us when we were redesigning, is the fact that these discounts need to be, you need to be able to share these easily to friends and family, and vice versa. So he wants, I suppose, social media integration into the app. So following on from this, we sort of created a hypothesis of how it meets statements. So our how it meets statement was how might we improve the user instructions to the app, and this is broken down into four different aspects. So you need to improve the onboarding process, creating a sign up login process to make it more obvious at the beginning, improve discount visibility like we've seen in the competitors' sites and apps as well, and the most important thing was social media integration to the app. So we kind of took the steps in terms of, because it's a long process, we decided to break it down into creating easier, more digestible steps for the user to use. So for us, it was kind of making sure that the sign up and login was easy to use and just a few steps compared to what's previously. Looking at the discounts, making sure it was more visible and easy to read and actually find the discounts, and then followed by how users might share the actual discounts to make it, again, more easier for them to use. So following on from this, we decided to take all the information we found from the workshop facilitation and actually redesign the app. So we all took it in turns to sort of take small parts of the app that we felt we can improve on, but still have that same aesthetics of what the app was previously like, but then also taking on notes from other sites that we've seen, like similar competitor sites, basically. So basically just to have an idea of how might we would redesign the app for Cameron, to making sure it was easier for him to see and actually use, before following on to redesigning the actual app in Figma. So we kind of made high fidelity frames, as well as making it a prototype that was interactive as well for when we did the usability testing. So for us, it was simplifying the sign in and login that was similar to other sign-in pages that we've seen from competitors, and also like websites like Groupon or even Voucher, just to name a few, just so we can simplify the process. And then followed by, again, how the user will go on to looking at how the discounts are presented. So making sure the tiling format is something that they're familiar with other discount apps, but again, easy to read, easy to find what they were searching for compared to what it was like previously. Of the office page, make sure that it was more concise, but then also making sure it's users can read as much as they like, give and take the information that they find on the site. Again, that's a similar feature that's been featured on other sites that we saw. So for example, Groupon does a similar thing. And then the most important feature that we had to add in was making sure that there was a share button and make sure it was visible for the user for sharing this discount via social media sites. So our recommendations that we presented to the client was to simplify the onboarding process through creating a tile-based homepage, and also improving how users sign up and sign into the app itself. Stacking the offers with discounts highlighted, and reducing text to balance with more images to make it more visually pleasing, and increasing, I suppose, the engagement with the app itself. And then finally, sharing and promoting via social media apps. So yeah, that's the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for taking us through that presentation. It was really thorough. And everyone, you can learn more about Sam's journey by going into UX Academy website. You just visit our blog. You'll see some of the Q&As and the experiences she said, and you'll be able to see her portfolio in there as well. Thank you very much, Sam. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, so it's that time that I'm sure you guys have all been waiting for, the Q&A session. So I have brought back our very own Goncalo, who is going to help us answer your questions. And of course, I'll answer any kind of UX Academy related questions as well. So this is the time where any questions that you have, please get them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. We do have the best part of 15 to 20 minutes left. So we're going to answer as many as we can. For those questions that we can't get through, please feel free to get in touch with me, adrian@myuxacademy.com, and we will do our best to answer you pronto. All right. So let's get straight into it. All right. So we had a question earlier on from Osama El Batran. Thank you, Osama, for this question. He asks, do you use balsamic? The question is no, Osama, but you may have seen the tools that we do use in the course earlier on in the presentation. However, we do welcome all students to use whatever tools that they feel like they are comfortable with using. However, we use industry standard tools that we feel are best suited for our students and for the course and in general. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have a question from Brian. So Brian asks, for example, I have Adobe XD, but would you rather recommend Figma for UX? So this is a Adobe versus Figma question, Goncalo. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is the kind of question that you ask if you want to start a fight in a room full of designers. Everyone has their favorite tools, and they all have their advantages and disadvantages. But at least the big ones, so Adobe XD, Sketch, and Figma, they're very equivalent. And even the question earlier about balsamic, the real gist of it is not about the tools. It's about the ideas and how you articulate the ideas and do the research and organize everything. It's about the process. It's not really about the tools. That being said, if you know Adobe XD, you can learn how to use Figma in an afternoon, and vice versa. They're very equivalent. The advantage of Figma, and the reason I think, especially in 2020, it's become the default for the industry, is because it works kind of like Google Docs. So everyone can edit at once, and it's always available online, and you can build your prototypes in it. But yeah.
Awesome, thanks. I think this was a similar question to Brian's other question. I noticed that there are several programs UX designers use or can use. Are these programs often used all together, or does it not really matter? So that's like a good kind of follow-up question to that.
Yeah. Usually, so some programs do the same thing. So you would never have a company with two programs that are equivalent, right? So you will either have Sketch or Figma. They do the same thing. You won't really have both in the same company unless they're transitioning from one to the other. You might have, for example, Sketch and InVision, so one for designing, one for prototyping. But usually it will never overlap because that's too expensive for companies to do.
Okay, I understand you. We had a question, I think, during the presentation. Mosman asked earlier, peace, everyone. Any advice for aspiring audio UX designers? I already have a background in sound design. I'll let you answer that question, Giancarlo. It might be a bit of a specific question, more related to voice design. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be more related to voice design. So UX design is about applying that process that I described earlier. I think that if you go down something like voice design, you will certainly be able to apply your knowledge of that industry. So, for example, I coded for a while a few years back, and I know that comes in handy, especially when speaking to developers, and I always have in the back of my mind what's possible and what isn't. It's not directly related to UX, but it does help having some of the context around that. So that is definitely something you can leverage to your advantage.
Perfect. Okay, we're moving on to the next question. Sherry asks, what application is used to create the customer journey, and will we have access to it following the course? So I think she's referring to the tools. So so the tools again that we'll be using, Sherry, for the course will include Miro and Figma. So those are the two main tools that you'll be using, and you'll use those to help craft your customer journey. Of course, if you have tools that you prefer, you'll be able to use them. Ben asked, how many hours per week should we devote to both the beginner and intermediate courses? Ben, you're more or less looking around, I'll say an average 7 hours a week, including the attendance time. So the lectures are 2.5 hours long. The coursework is not assigned till week 2, where you get to work with real life clients. You can expect to spend at least maybe 3 to 4 hours a week on the real life coursework. And then, of course, you get mentorship, which is about 30 minutes or so with people such as Goncalo and other instructors. They'll be available for mentorship. All right. Okay. So Cardoza Ballas asks, "Hi, I don't seem to find much info in regards to the course schedule. Could you please clarify this breakdown the hours we spend?" Okay, Cardoza, if you head over to our website, myuxacademy.com, if you go to the beginner course section, you'll be able to request a course brochure where you automatically be sent all of the information. What I can also do is drop you an email later on. Thank you very much. Okay, and then we have Rim who asks, "Is the certificate recognized globally in companies?" Goncalo, I'd like you to answer this. I mean, how important are certificates in the world of UX design compared to portfolios?
Portfolios are everything. It's portfolios are absolutely the most important thing. That being said, especially for juniors, it is, what's the right word, reassuring. When you're looking to hire someone, it is reassuring if they have some street cred in UX, rather than just coming out of the blue and trying to get a job as a junior UX designer, especially if it is a course that has a good reputation for being thorough and for being quite good. Yeah, I think it does make a difference. That being said, the portfolios are the most important thing, and when you're doing a UX portfolio, it's not the same as a visual design portfolio. So you don't just put a bunch of screens that look really pretty, like on Dribble, and that's it. For UX portfolio, the most important thing is having a use case. So it's telling a story of how you did your discovery, how you put your hypotheses together, how you tested them, why you made the design choices that you did. So it's really important to have this. So if you go through the course of UX Academy, because of the things that we mentioned earlier, because there is practical coursework, because you do research, because you work with a real client, you will come out of it with one use case, which could be the beginning for you to build your portfolio upon.
Perfect. That's an excellent answer, Goncalo. Thank you so much. Anastasia asks, "What kind of laptop would be best suited for the course? I know about MacBook, but I have a Dell laptop with good specs. Would this be good enough?" Anastasia, yes, this would be good enough. So anyone that has a PC, Mac, or laptop is welcome on the course. Again, we use software which is cloud-based, which is online, meaning that any computer type can be compatible. Tina asked, "Hello, would we be taught Miro and Figma during the course? I've never used these before." Yeah, to an extent, you will get some support in using the tools of Miro and Figma, Tina. We also provide tutorials for you to be able to self-study and apply outside the lessons. Because the lesson times are 2.5 hours long, we focus the lessons more on the instructors will focus more on delivering the course content and doing the interactive workshops and exercises with those hours. So in terms of being taught how to use the tools, there is some training done in that area, but it's quite limited so that we can focus on giving you the content and the training, which is the main thing. Okay.
That being said, that's where mentorship comes in. So if you have any problems, either with the theory or even using the tools, I would be able to help you later. And don't worry, Figma and Miro are not that complicated to use, to be fair.
Okay, no problem. Okay, we're going to keep it going with the Q&A. Feel free to get your questions in, guys. We do have a bit more time left. Mosman has come back with another question asking, "Who can I speak with to learn more about audio UX?" Goncalo, what's your understanding of audio UX? I mean, is that voice design, or is that something completely different, or are there overlaps?
So I've been interpreting it as voice design. If you're talking about actual audio design, not audio UX, if you're talking about like sound bites for brands and things like that, that's not really within the remit of UX design. But if you do mean designing for voice, so for example, smart assistants like Google Home and Alexa, then we do cover that in UX Academy.
Okay, perfect. Okay, right. So so we've answered quite a number of questions. I can see we have a few minutes left. If you have any more questions, feel free to get them in the chat. Otherwise, what we can do is we can move on and we can start to wrap up the free online UX event. So this is your last opportunity. If you have any more questions, feel free to get them in the chat before we move on to the final part of today's presentation. Once again, we do appreciate everyone attending this session. I hope you got some value from you, and we look forward to having some of you on the course, which starts in January. Not just voice. Okay, so Mosman has actually come back and said not just voice. I'm inquiring about product SFX as well. What's your understanding of that?
Do you mean audio special effects?
This sounds like audio
no.
special effects. Yeah, I think he's probably going from a different industry. I think that's when you're starting to kind of overlap with a different industry. So yeah, I don't think there's much we can do. Okay, we're going to give it 1 more minute. If we do not receive any more questions, we're just going to move on. We're going to skip past the Q&A and we're just going to wrap up with some final information and get you guys the bonus content as we promised. So far, I just want to thank Goncalo for taking time to take us through this 60-minute free UX online event. Okay, Brian has got a question in there. Seems like there's people still around. What kind of platform would be good to keep a portfolio for UX designers? What's your understanding of that question, Goncalo?
Well, depends on who you ask. There are some people that keep their portfolios in a PDF file.
Okay.
That's how they get around NDAs. I, for one, would rather just have it available online everywhere. That way, whenever recruiters ask me for it, I can just give them a link. There are issues with NDA. What I do is I just remove the names of brands from everything. So, this is, I was working with a household name company that did this thing. And then I just generically talk about the project, and that's been fine. That being said, any sort of platform that will allow you to just easily go and add a new project should be fine. So WordPress, Squarespace, a blog, you can have Notion and make it public. Anything will do, really.
That's some good ideas. And I know there's Behance and there's Dribble and there's places like that as well, right?
Yes, although Behance and Dribble are more focused towards visual design. So they're more for you to put up some images. And if you're doing a UX portfolio, you will actually need to have quite a fair bit of writing. So something more akin to a blog usually works better.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. Okay, Ben, I'm gonna go to the final question. Ben asks, "What's your suggestion for gathering user research on projects when you don't work in a company?" If that makes any sense, Goncalo. Did you get the gist of that question?
Yeah. Miro tends to be good for this. My personal preference is gathering user research into Notion, which allows me to tag it and filter it and work with it a bit easier once it's done. But yeah, basically any way that you can gather the data for you to look at after would be good.
Perfect. Okay. We've had a few people ask about the PowerPoint slides. So what we will do is we'll aim to get the PowerPoint slides to you later on after the webinar. Maybe tomorrow perhaps we can get it over to you. But I hope you're getting some value in today's session. And thank you for all of your questions so far. It seems that's going to be the end of the Q&A session. And we're going to move on to the final session. All right. So once again, why should you consider UX Academy for joining and upskilling UX design? Right. So we do 8 weeks live lectures with interactive exercises. So we use the likes of Zoom breakout rooms, and Miro, as we've discussed in the Q&A. So 8 intensive weeks, taking you from a nobody to a junior UX designer level, a junior UI designer level, etc. Lots of opportunities there for you to learn in that 8-week session. Okay. We've also had 60 plus beginner UX design students graduate successfully in 2020 since the year started. So we've had so many students come from our program. That's another strong reason why you should consider UX Academy. Okay, you can see some of the cohort. You can see the April cohort in the Zoom picture in the right. Now, UX Academy is pandemic proof for those wanting to upskill or switch careers. I mean, those are the two main reasons why people want to join UX Academy. They want to switch careers, or they want to upskill, their knowledge in UX, etc., or improve their hiring prospects. Recently, this week I had news from one of the instructors that one of our recent students just got hired. It got hired into a job in the startup industry, which is fantastic. As I said before in the start of the presentation, with UX design, you'll find yourself working either in a startup, in a company, or at an agency. You're also going to graduate with a professional portfolio and become job ready for entry-level roles. So earlier on, you saw Sam, who presented her Blue Pass presentation. If you'd like to see the full presentation, you can head over to our website, UX Insights, and you'll be able to see it over there. She's now obviously working some entry-level roles in UX. You have the opportunity to work in teams and build a central team building skills for future employment. The important thing with UX design is having the experience and getting the experience to be able to work in cross-function teams. So you might work with web developers, visual designers, software engineers. You might work with product managers, like I've been in the past. So you need to learn how to work with different people, different types of people, and different types of personalities. So having that real life working experience in that environment, even though it's virtual, it's still important to get that under your belt. Okay. You're also going to get access to tutors, resources, unique insights during the course for CVs, portfolio, and career support. You're also going to get post-course work experience. I just told you about a student that was hired recently. They kept in touch with the instructor after the course, and as a result, that instructor helped them to get a job. Tutor job support, as I just mentioned, portfolio support, and networking opportunities. I mentioned Mobile UX London at the start of this online events. You're going to learn, about opportunities of events that would come up from Mobile UX London that UX Academy is part of, and so on and so forth. They can get involved in. And then there's also a weekly mentorship, which the likes of Goncalo, who was doing the online event with me earlier on, was taking you through earlier on. Okay, now speaking of mentorship, what can you expect in the UX Academy mentorship? Feel free to visit the website myuxacademy.com/mentorship. So you can expect weekly meetings with a mentor. We now start mentorship from week 1 if you join the course rather than week 2, because we want to make sure that you get a solid integration with whatever teammates that you're selected to work with. And I believe this is really important for anyone who wants to move forward in a career in UX design. You're also going to have the opportunity to address any project progress and to remove any blockers, any challenges that you may be facing in a certain project or maybe within your team. You'll also be able to have this as an opportunity to ask follow-up questions on any course tools, methodologies that you may have learned during the lessons from the instructors. And finally, it's a great opportunity, it's a great space to be able to discuss life as a UX designer, life as a product designer, whatever course that you take, and get some great career advice to move you forward. All right, just before I bring this to a close, if you have any questions that we haven't answered today, or if you have something that pops up later, feel free to drop me an email, adrian@uxacademy.com. I'd just like to remind you all that the special workshop offer for joining this academy webinar is still available. So if you head over to myuxacademy.com/enroll, and you can use the special coupon code workshop12. We do apologize about the previous slide from Goncalo. It's not workshop 25. That's when our course was a lot more expensive. But now that we've dropped the price down, the code that we're giving is workshop 12, which is still generous. So use the code workshop 12. It will give you a fraction of a discount of the deposit. But then what will happen is the rest of the discount will be applied when you're making that final payment towards the course. And then you can visit myuxacademy.com/enroll to join the course. This is our flagship course, our most popular course that we do. Places are limited. We do have a few places left. Places have been sold recently, so make sure that you put your name down and put a deposit down if you want to join the course. If you change your mind, if you can't make it anymore, we are happy to refund you your money as long as it's not during the course, if that makes sense. All right, or unless you have any issues during the course, for example. Now, I will promise you that bonus material. Now, that is best practices for UX design portfolio. You've seen Sam, who was our previous student, present her portfolio. You've heard Goncalo talk about the importance of having portfolio. Now, we would like you to have the opportunity to get those tips, those important tips for how to build a good portfolio. So head over to myuxacademy.com/portfolio, and you'll be able to grab bonus material for today's session on how to develop your portfolio. Okay, so having said that, my name is Adrian, and I am the head of growth and partnerships at UX Academy. Once again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for spending the best part of 60 minutes with us on the UX Academy's online events on UX. Once again, feel free to drop me an email, myuxacademy.com. Apologies if you have any other questions. And yeah, we look to have some of you on the course, which starts on Wednesday, 27th January 2021. The year has flown by so quickly, and yet here we are, end of the year. Give yourself a pat on the back if you made it through a year. It's been a tough year for everyone, but yet people are still making, switching careers and, making new things happen. So once again, thanks everyone, and have a good night. Take care.